Oh my God. Oh, let me tell you, like everybody, welcome to another edition of Boston Concessions. I am your host, Topher, and oh my Lanta. Oh my I looked at a guy tonight, and the one thing he looked at me and said was, who would have ever predicted this? And I raised my hand. I raised my hand in a proud fashion. And the one thing he said to me was, how did you predict how tonight would go? And I looked at that man just as I look at you tonight within this whole thing. And I said very clearly, who did they play that made or tested them this whole year? Nobody. And then I scratched my head and went, actually, no, wait. They didn't play nobody. They played Lamar at the beginning of the year where you're getting your feet wet. Things are going to happen. Okay, cop it up for a loss. But look at the remainder of the season. Don't anybody sit there and tell me that you did not see Patrick Mahomes losing this game. I did. Why? I saw Patrick, Travis, Taylor Swift, Andy Reid, include anybody else you want to on that list. I saw them losing this game. There's my hot take. There's my everything. Yes, you heard it here. Why? You saw them losing the game. I know people are going to see this, like, they're going to watch this later on YouTube, but they're going to listen to this on Spotify. And the one thing, oh yeah, Topher, you're full of crap. Like, really? I've been talking about the Mahomes train coming to an end because they had the easiest schedule in the planet. The only reason why they got 2 losses is because they sat everybody and they let Denver run a train on them. And not in the good way, like if you're watching the Houston 500. And if you're in the 90s or 2000s and you're one of those kids and you know what the Houston 500 is, if not, look it up without your parents, okay? That's all I'm saying. But there's a lot of that goes into play, and that's huge. Huge. Here's the one thing I didn't predict. I did not predict 34-0 at halftime. There, I said it. I expected the fact that the Kansas City Chiefs were going to get a weapon. I predicted to the fact that the game was going to be pretty good and someone was going to let go. I could not predict to you to the fact that they were going to get their butts whipped that badly. And hats off to Philly. You're Super Bowl champions with Jalen Hurts as your MVP. Oh, if anybody doesn't cite that defense for playing beautiful ball, there's an issue right there. Like, break it down for me, please. You held Patrick Mahomes all game until the 4th quarter under 200 yards. You had him with 2 interceptions. And by the way, there was one of them. Oh my God, I forget that dude's name. But hold on, I'll try to I'll try to get it right now. I'll tell you right now, the I gotta look at it. Interceptions. Wasn't him. Was it Cooper yeah, it was Cooper DeJean. Kid is 22 years. No, he had the pick six. He had the pick six, which is incredible because he's 22 friggin' years old. Zach Braun was the guy. Leaping, leaping into the air to snag. That was one of the beautiful friggin' interceptions I've seen. Like, Patrick Mahomes was so adamant that that ball was going where it needed to. He just said, no. And yes, Cooper DeJean with like that man picked it on. I thought he was going to be tackled at the 5 and denied. Dude, he just snuck right through. Perfect footwork, perfect everything. And you're sitting there like, oh my God, is this Patrick Mahomes in the halftime? Like, if you're looking at everything in this whole thing, I don't care on the fact that it says 40-22. I don't. Because the two things I'm looking at is Patrick Mahomes did not, under any circumstances, score any goddamn points in the first half. And I understand when people sit there and look at me and go, oh, well, you know, they can come back. The last time I had somebody down about a 24, 25 point deficit, that man's name was Tom Brady. That coach was Bill Belichick. That team was the New England Patriots. Kansas City. You ain't them. You are no. We're gonna make it official. We're gonna make it like known. You are not the GOAT. No. And to anybody else out there who like sits there on Patrick Mahomes' pedestal, he's not the GOAT. He never will be the GOAT. He'll be a great quarterback. He'll pump rainbows for you all day, the way he does everything he does. And that's fine. But he's never going to be Tom Brady. Tom Brady was cut from a different cloth. Tom Brady beat Patrick Mahomes twice. When you have a 40-something-year-old quarterback that can actually defeat the greatest of all times, like this is the Michael Jordan, LeBron James debate. Oh, he played a different position, and he played the way he does, and he carries himself the way. Listen, stop. I don't want to hear it. Okay. MJ's the GOAT. Clear and simple. Okay. LeBron is what he is. He's a flopper. And you know, Patrick Mahomes is becoming the LeBron James of the NFL. I said it earlier tonight. I'll say it again. He's the LeBron James of the NFL. He flops. He tries to get all these calls. Tonight, he just got overwhelmed. I'm not sure, like, what kind of pressure. I'm not sure if Taylor Swift was actually telling certain things to Travis Kelce, because that man, That man had like 10 or 12 points as well, just for the night. It's savage. Savage. This is a team that like you're sitting there and it's like, oh yeah, they're 9-0, then they're 9-1. Then they're like 14-2. Yeah, they're a great team. I put on Instagram to the fact that like, yo, there was like the way Baltimore was like, hey, and I did say like one of them literally took a shit during the game, and lo and behold, Patrick Mahomes took that shit. That man took the biggest Duke powder in the world. Like, let's put it this way. Everybody's sitting there looking at you to be like, okay, I'm going to win. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to play the hardest. I'm going to play the greatest. I'm going to play like everything I need to be. And you went up against Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley. And even though Saquon had a mid game, I swear to God, Kansas City looked like they were playing the run all game. Like, here's where we're going to make our bones. We're going to stop Saquon, and the game is ours. What in the ever-loving hell were you thinking? You don't just stop Saquon Barkley and expect magic potatoes. No. Jalen Hurts is not Tua Tagovailoa. He's better. Look, I said it once, I'll say it again, and I'll say it with every instance of my body. I know to the fact that Philadelphia is not a team I root for. They're not a team I look at. They're not a team that like I'm ever going to go, yay, Philly. But can I sit there and say, I'm happy as hell for Saquon because I know who he is. I know the type of player he is. And you know to the fact you want to see a player like that win a Super Bowl. Yes. Am I happy for Jalen Hurts, who got annihilated, what was it, 2 Super Bowls ago? Where Kansas City came in, blew him out, made him feel like inferior. He had an axe to grind coming in this game. You knew Jalen Hurts wanted this game. And he wasn't taking no for an answer. This man was going to be the one to win the game. And he showed it. He showed poise. He gave props to his defense. He gave props to everybody. Plus, it was great to see the Gatorade dumped on the coach. It was great. Good handling. But there was something about this Philadelphia team that just still made me go, man, this is good stuff. And it was the way they played throughout the year. Yes, they had some really good games, but it was either blowout or bust. And they played some tight ones. They played some really good opponents. They played people that pushed them to the grindstone. That also had under 5 wins. It wasn't like, hey, we're the Super Bowl bound, even though the LA Raiders almost beat us. How do you go into a game like really excited for that? I can't. I don't expect anybody else to. Like, if you're not Kansas City shitting tacks because you're going up against an actual good team again that is going to make or break you, I'm sorry. And like anybody saying, like, oh, well, Patrick Mahomes almost turned it off. He would, he got like 16 at the end. Yeah, because the defense basically gave up. The defense said, dude, go ahead and score. We're just going to take the ball back, run down the clock. You, you can't get into a mindset where you actually think to the fact that anything under the sun is really going to go that way. I don't know. It's, I'm reading Twitter and reading a couple of the things. I'm going over some stuff. I'm watching the game. And there's some stuff I'm going to tell you, like, where I watched the game. And it was a great time. Like, I'll tell you. It was great. I'll go into that in a minute. As I'm reading X, Twitter, whatever the hell you want to call it, I don't know. I never know what to call it. Okay, it's the fact that it has an X name is like still stupid in my eyes. But my friend Steve Buchanan made a wonderful, wonderful point. He said it perfectly. It brought a joy to my eye. And for the most part of what I was looking at, it was like sitting there reading it. And just as I'm reading it, a smile goes over me. I'm like, oh, I'm giving him credit for this. I'm going to say it. And I messaged it to Bird afterwards, too. Because I wanted to know Bird's side. Bird's like, oh my God, I love that. But Steve Buchanan actually made the comment that Patrick Mahomes is 0-2 in a Super Bowl with Tom Brady in the building. You have no idea how much I love that comment. That is the precise gold comment that you want to hear in a Super Bowl where you're taking, like, when Patrick Mahomes is taking on Jalen Hurts, and up in the broadcast booth is Tom Brady. Remember the last time you were here? And I was in the building, Patrick? I was on the field. This time I'm not. It's like, but to me, that's justice. That's an instinctive showing that can Patrick Mahomes get it done against a really good friggin' team? I understand, like, what teams make it to the finals or make it to like the Super Bowl or make it to like as deep as you go. But it's like there's another gear that certain teams switch on during the playoffs. I've said this about a couple people, and I've said it about a couple times. You can't count a team down just because like they're in last or they're, hey, we're judgmental about it, or hey, we're the wild card and we're coming in to play you right now. What is your thought to it? Like, well, let's put it in this aspect. We're playing because we don't want to go home. So when you have that creativity, when you have that buildup, which is exactly what the Eagles had, they were not a last place team. They were not a slouch team. They were very good defensively as a team. But they were also a team that didn't want to go home. And I think looking at Saquon Barkley, you knew that man, no matter what, did not want to go home. And when you make it to the dance, which is the Super Bowl, Saquon did not want to go home empty-handed. He had a lot to prove. And this is from my aspect of it. Saquon had more to prove than a three-peat happening in Kansas City. See, when you're Saquon Barkley, every game was a basic fuck you to the New York Giants. Every single moment he played, he ran. It was a big screw you. You want to call me washed? You want to call me out of shape? You want to call me like not good enough to play? You want to call me not good enough to pay? That's fine. I'm going to make you eat your words right now. And exactly what Jason Tatum is doing this year, where it's the Jason Tatum MVP tour for the Celtics. Saquon Barkley has basically been a man on a mission, just as what's his name from Derrick Henry, just like he was on the Ravens. Both of them had an axe to grind, and it was against their previous team because, well, Derrick Henry didn't have the go, didn't have the muster, didn't have the oomph. Saquon didn't have that glow in his eye. He didn't have that feel. He didn't have that carry. Both of them were the most premier backs in the league. And you basically released the hounds of hell to run all over teams because you didn't think you wanted to sign them. They weren't good enough. Well, one was on a winning team. The other was straight garbage. The other one is a Super Bowl champion. I don't even know if the Giants were playing golf this year. I don't even think they were playing mini putt. But they were home. They weren't anywhere near the Super Bowl. And they weren't going to be either. Who's their quarterback? What's their definition? I'll say this because there was a meet and greet at a place in Massachusetts. It was hosted by Game Time. Game Time right in the North Shore Mall, right in Peabody. I went down there. I spent some time. Hung out with a friend of the show. Great man. I hung out with Joe Murray. Me and Joe had some talks. We had some good laughs. 98.5 was down there with the street team. So of course, like I'm going to give some love and everything to Joe as I normally do. And he introduced me to Saki. Very nice guy. General manager down there at Game Time. I'll be brutally honest. For watching the multiple TVs that were in that place, the food experience, just the ambiance, the everything, man, I was floored. Everything, like right down, like, oh my god, the wings. I've turned into like a wing. Like, I'll just say it. I'm a whore for wings. Okay, you could probably present wings to me right now, and I'm gonna be like, oh my god. So I know Joe didn't hear it, but like there were a lot of noises coming from me because I was just like they brought out like a plate of hot wings, and the first thing that was going right through, like you could tell when they're nice and fresh because like the hot burns your nose, and I was in heaven right there, and I grabbed a good wing. And I didn't go blue cheese. I didn't go anything. I just like, listen, I gotta try this. Oh man, it was It was heaven on a bone. Yep. But the other thing though was like I said this to my dad when I came home because my dad's like straight up like weird about pizza. Um, there was something about Game Times pizza. It's not Chuck E. Cheese style pizza, and that's at least like the greatest thing, and like I will say about it. It was kind of like Papa Gino's old school style pizza. It was just the right texture, just the right crust point. Like the toppings, everything was just man. And the cool place, the cool part about this, like what you like to look upstairs, like where we were, like we were right in the dining area. There was a full blown bar, and then it was like you walk out and like there's kids caves. There's like the claw. There's like a whole bunch of like everything that you could just sit and enjoy. And I'm like, oh man, if I was a kid and I wanted all the tickets in the world, I'd be like dropping quarters like crazy. Um, and like as I'm talking to Joe, like one of the greater things I actually got to meet like is one of Joe's great um listeners was JP and NP. Um, JP, really nice dude. I got to shake his hand. I was like, yeah, all right. Meeting a fan of the Joe show right there. It was great. Um, but yeah, Saki, the general manager, actually brought me and JP like downstairs, and he was showing us like they've got like full blown pool tables. Um they got like a private room. They had like a full blown bar down there. They had like 6 or 7 bowling lanes, and then they had axe throwing. And like, I still haven't done the axe throwing thing, and I've seen a couple people that have done it. They're like, "Oh yeah, throw that axe, baby." And I'm like, but all in all, like, just sitting in like a really nice, comfortable like spot, having like a really good time, had a couple beers, sat back, like none the stress of like what it was, but like having like a good company, like a good all around vibe, the ambiance like there, the looking at the TVs, but also I I swear it was a mixture of being at game time, but also a mixture of well, watching Kansas City lose. But it was a great time. I couldn't say like anything bad about it. Like it was absolutely flooring. Um, to me, like that's what I like about like a place. And I haven't like seen a place like that like since. But I mean, I've been to Kings. Kings was all right. They didn't have Kings. It doesn't have like that much of video games. And to compare this to like Game On or oh, what's the other place there that oh, Dave and Buster's. Like granted, Dave and Buster's has like that whole thing, and then they have the signature drinks. Dave and Buster's does not have the food that this place had. It like off the charts. And I'm not saying it just because like I was in front of the man, like and I'm pumping rainbows anywhere. Like, trust me. If I know good food and I'm sitting there and enjoying the crap out of it, I'm gonna tell you that there's good food here because I want to go back there. I want to have the pizza again. I want to enjoy the crap out of the wings. Um, you know, I don't care if it was like 20, 50, $75. Like if it was good tasting, yeah, I'm gonna sit there and be like, oh yes. But it in either which way, it helped immensely. Um, because just seeing Patrick Mahomes just lose made me feel good. And I know I mentioned it already, but like also listening to Tom Brady tonight, Tom Brady was on point. Like calling a Super Bowl. You go from like being the star of a Super Bowl to calling a Super Bowl, especially on like still I feel like it's one of the crappiest networks in the world is Fox. But that man hit at an all-time perfect. Like it wasn't just like Tom, it was like Tom on point. He called the game. He put you like right in the feels of how the guys felt in the game. You know what Patrick Mahomes was going through. It basically took like a Tony Romo, kind of monotoned it down a little bit, and then made it feel so much like so special that you're seeing. Hey, Patrick's going through some stuff. He's got to get those good reads. He's got to get this. He's got to get that. And then you go to everything else, and it's like, wow, oh, damn. So, yeah, it Super Bowl was there was a lot of stuff that was going on, and the other the other thing I'll bring to um I'll bring to like the front. If anybody didn't like um Kendrick Lamar as the halftime, like at the halftime show, I need to know what the hell like your entertainment value is. Because Kendrick Lamar he was stunning. And I'm not talking about like how he looked. It was just he didn't go through 15 wardrobe changes. He didn't do like half the stuff. He wasn't flashy. He had a couple things here and a couple things there that made you like look and go, "Oh, that's cool." But he stayed himself. He was more focused on the music than it was anything else. He didn't come in on a white horse or, he didn't push the, oh, hey, look at my wardrobe. Look at this. Oh, I got to change this out. No, he made it about music. I loved it, especially with Samuel L. Jackson dressed as Uncle Sam, introducing Kendrick Lamar. It was great because, like, we're sitting there, like, I'm seeing like a couple things with Morgan Freeman. I was like, oh man, we got Morgan on here. Now we need a Samuel L. Jackson somewhere. Like, we've got a hit. And the minute the halftime show started, and all of a sudden you just see Samuel L. Jackson like dressed as Uncle Sam. I'm like, oh, we got our wish. He's there. So I've seen a lot of people that have basically dogged um that they've dogged Kendrick Lamar about his Super Bowl like play, about his halftime show. You can't. I don't know what more you wanted um out of a Super Bowl show, but that was money. It was money, and I like Kendrick Lamar. I like his work. He does put a hell of a lot into his music, the talent that that man has. And when you're sitting there reading or just listening to his music, one of the really cool things is like he didn't go there again to be flashy. He wanted his music heard. He wanted to carry his music and set the tone as he wanted to. And there was nothing wrong with what he did. I enjoyed that over, hey, we're going to do 15 styles of dance and there's interpretation and there's this and there's that. And Kendrick Lamar's show kind of reminded me of Prince. Played his guitar, played his music. He didn't run 2/3 of the way around. He just played his music. Isn't that what a halftime show is supposed to be? You don't have to drop from the sky. You don't have to, you know, make yourself well known. Yes, it's a Super Bowl, and you want to stick out, but let your music do the talking more so than whatever else you're doing. I was there for the music. I enjoyed it heavily. The funny thing is people that are younger than me that are like, oh, Kendrick Lamar. Or there are people that are older than me or the same age as me. Kendrick Lamar's set was kind of bunk. First off, who the fuck says bunk anymore? Secondly, what music do you listen to again? Cardboard? Some people, idiots. There was a good thing about the Super Bowl. Super Bowl 2025 ads are all over the place. They'll be played from time to come. There'll be trimmings and everything, or like short hairs about like what you saw, what you heard, and what you did. But the beauty part is the ads themselves always get you going. You're always in a joy to hear the best Super Bowl ads. And I thought, so I was hoping to the fact that like I was looking, these are the best 10s, the 10 best Super Bowl 2025 ads according to experts. Yeah, they didn't really even give you what the frig it was. It was just like, God. Okay, here we go. Super Bowl commercials we absolutely loved. So there was the trailer for F1, starring Brad Pitt. Adrenaline was an all-time high with the trailer for F1. It's Warner Brothers and Apple's upcoming movie starring Brad Pitt. It's a follow-up with Joe Kosinski's Top Gun Maverick. Boston's favorite Dun Kings. It was Ben and Casey Affleck were at the center of the star-studded commercial, featuring an always method acting Jeremy Strong, steeped in a human-sized cup of coffee to prepare for his role. Yahoo did a wonderful ad. People basically yeah, it was basically like, emailing Bill Murray. So, and they encourage you to email Bill Murray to see what happens next. So that's a wonderful thing. Matthew McConaughey tries to pitch, direct to get Greta Gerwig a movie idea about the long-standing relationship between football and food. Commercial also features appearances by what is it, Charlie 29 or something like that, Sean Evans, Kevin Bacon, Martha Stewart in their second ad of the night. The one thing I loved about this ad was Matthew McConaughey played multiple people. So it was like his head was just moved around. Like it was funny. Um, when Hellman's met Sally, it was a joyous part. Meg Ryan and Billy Crystal reunited to recreate the iconic Cat's Deli scene from When Harry Met Sally. If you weren't born then, you didn't watch Harry Met Sally, you're too young for this podcast. I'll tell you that right now. The ad also features a cameo from Sydney Sweeney, who was not born when the movie came out, who delivered the scene's most famous line. It is Meg Ryan enjoying a sandwich. She takes a bite. Billy Crystal's completely outlandish. Meg Ryan does like hit her hand like 2 or 3 times on the table, screaming, yes, yes. And then they cut to Sydney Sweeney going, I'll have what she's having. So people were incredibly joyous to see that. Nike also, this was one of my favorite ads, and I'll tell you why afterwards. Nike made its return to the Super Bowl commercial break after almost 30 years, with the commercial celebrating and highlighting the most successful female athletes. The 60-second features all-star basketball players Caitlin Clark, A'ja Wilson, and Sabrina Lasano, alongside gymnast Jordan Childs, runner Sha'Carri Richardson, and tennis player Arina Sabalenka. This video was basically empowering women. And I don't know anymore how you could say this, but this video basically screamed, women can do it too. Watch what they can do. I know a lot of people, some people are on one side of the fence, one side are on the other. But you know something? When you see the video, there's certain aspects where, like, once you see how a person can break off and carry themselves, this had a strong tone of just women athletes to watch. Okay, I myself, I've watched Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark has got me a little bit more in tune with like watching women's basketball. A'ja Wilson is another one that I've like actually seen. They're very good, very performing athletes. And for me, it just doesn't have to be about the NBA or WNBA. I've been watching this, and there's a lot of stuff that like makes me go, holy crap. Like I would watch this stuff. Sometimes the reason why like I also do this podcast and this actually stems to it is it basically tells you people will always tell you not to do something. But go ahead and do it. I myself, the reason why I resonated with this ad, I've been told I should give up my comic book shop that I've been trying relentlessly to like actually keep above ground. To the fact of like doing a podcast, who the heck's gonna listen to you? I really don't care if anybody listens to me. I don't. I had Bird on Wednesday. I had a lot of fun just talking 3 hours with a human being that was absolutely incredible. Me and Joe Murray spent 5 hours talking on here. Why? Because Joe had a lot to say. I had a lot of responses to it, and it was a good time for me. We had people in here, like in the chat, and I had a ball. And the other times I sit here and do this before I like actually cut it to send it over to like to Spotify, I'm sitting there talking to the wall. I'm talking over here to like absolutely nothing. I've got the cat with me sometimes. I'm okay talking to myself because I've got so many things in my head that is sports related. I want to get out. That's what I'm here for. I'm not here if anybody likes me, doesn't like me. Like, I have fun with this. This is my fun time. It's the same thing when I was on Twitch, and I'm still on Twitch. I don't care if you come in and watch me, if you come in and diss me, I don't care. I get more trolls that come in here. They're like, fart, ass, gas, blah. Dude, good for you. What a comment to make. The reason this ad resonates with me is because I want to drive more. I may not be a woman, but they inspire me because they're still fighting to get what they feel is exactly where they are. And I'm not saying to the fact that they're not ever going to get it. Because when you look at the women in this ad, they're fighting and growing. They're growing more than you would. I mean, like, let's put it this way. I would rather watch Caitlin Clark than LeBron James. And I know a lot of people are going to sit there like, dude, why would you watch LeBron James over? I mean, why would you watch Caitlin Clark over LeBron James? It's like very easy. Caitlin Clark's in her young career. She's fighting in her young career. There are more people that are jealous, I guess. I guess that's a way to look at it. But when you break it down, like, hey, what's the big deal? It's it's shameful. Can't knock it. Back to commercials, though. If anybody has not, because I know I saw like a teaser for this, there was a Mountain Dew Kiss from a Lime featuring Seal and Becky G. The commercial has Seal as a seal. And he's thinking about Mountain Dew. It was fantastic. It was something that I laughed at. And then, of course, this one was like an all-time. Like I was still trying to figure out like what the hell was going on, and it was a little bit of a long one. It was the Stella Artois, which was David and Dave. This was the beer brand's first national ad in 6 years. And while, yes, there are David Beckham's actual pants, he is not actually Matt Damon's brother. The ad, if you actually look it up, the one thing I'll say that like literally made me laugh was Matt Damon and David Beckham. They looked very similar. The salt and pepper haircut, the build, the way they looked at each other. It was all there. It just literally made me laugh. And then of course there was a Dove commercial. Dove's ad focused on the body confidence issues many young girls face, the impact that you have on the involvement of in athletics growing up. So, I mean, there've always been some pretty good ads. There've always been certain things, and like something. One of the ones that like actually topped off to me, and it's not on that list. And I kind of blame Yahoo for that. But there's a Jeep ad, and it's. I was trying to figure out if it was a Jeep ad, what the hell it was, and it just so happened to be an ad with Harrison Ford. And Harrison Ford's talking about like, the great America and everything and being a patriot. And then all of a sudden he walks by a desk and he reaches for keys and it shows a Jeep fob. And I'm like, oh man. So he goes through this whole spiel, this whole shebang, and like he's pulling like the plug out of an electric Jeep that he's getting into. Of course, it's a Wrangler, and he just like, you know, he's like, my name is Harrison, and like, this is my America. And this is the vehicle that I chose, even though it's not my last name. You get to that whole thing, and then there's a punchline of like, wait, his name is Harrison Ford. Why don't you like Fords? So for me, it was a little bit of a laugh. It was a little funny. I did enjoy it. So there's always good things and good pops that you'll always come across. Um, so, but all in all, I guess in closing, how do you say it? To the Philadelphia Eagles, congratulations. To Saquon Barkley, congratulations on your Super Bowl. It was deserving, it was needed, but it was something that like you basically faced adversity as well as Derrick Henry, and you showed to the fact that you have more value than anybody else had showed you. That in itself is probably the biggest thing to take away from this. And to anybody else who like actually listens to this and wants to tell me in their own way that I talk about Patrick Mahomes because he's threatening on the Patriots way of whatever he does, and I was never a pure Brady fan. I grew up a Montana fan. I liked Brady, but I was never the TB12, Tom Terrific, Tom in Tom We Trust, blah, 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 blah. I don't put guys on that much of a high pedestal. Like, I may root for them, I may think they're great, they're fancy, but I'm not going to make them to like, oh my God. Tom is like no, that's for other people to do. I may like Tom, I may root for Tom, but like I'm not gonna sit there and like, oh, Tom. Yeah. No, that's not my cup of tea. I like Tom. I like the way he played. I like the way he did everything. And like, when it comes down to it also, you gotta give hats off to Bill. But you know something? Andy Reid and the Kansas City Chiefs, they are not, and I repeat, they are not the New England Patriots. They may not even be. But I did say to somebody, because they're like, oh, they'll be back next year. I was like, you know something? I'm not going to be surprised if they're not. You're going to go a lot more contracts. You're going to balloon. You're going to have to cut payroll. You're going to have to cut certain things. There's going to be one or two guys that are traded. I wouldn't also be surprised if someone retires. Okay? Because watching the end of that game, Chris Jones was in pain. Like the brace, the everything. You could see it in the man's eyes. He wanted to win, but he knew he was in pain. I have a feeling 2025, 2026, you're going to see the Kansas City Chiefs in a different light. And I want to see how well they hold up to that light. I know the Patriots are going to be a little bit different. Maybe they'll garnish 2 wins. Maybe they'll garnish like 8 wins. Maybe they'll garnish over 10. There could be any track of possibility. But it also depends upon what Philly does, how they handle themselves. You know, but it's also going to come down to personnel as well. You're basically going to see a lot of guys. What was it? The offensive coordinator for Philadelphia. They're now a Super Bowl champion. They're going over to New Orleans with their resume. You get like a whole shift in Detroit. The defensive coordinator, like, or one of the guys that was with them down there, they're with us. There's a defensive coordinator, like guy that's now a head coach. You get the offensive coordinator, Ben Johnson. He's now the coach of the Chicago Bears. There's a lot of shifting in coaches. And you just got to see like how everything's going to turn out. What's going to be the main difference? This was an absolutely spectacular Super Bowl because because Patrick Mahomes didn't win. But I said this before, and I'll reiterate it again. In order to beat in order to be the GOAT, you got to beat the GOAT. And Patrick Mahomes has not beaten the GOAT. But it makes me wonder if the GOAT's in the building, is Patrick shaking? Which means next year, if Tom Brady is in the building for a Las Vegas Raiders game, okay, if he's got his thing to do and Kansas City plays Vegas in Vegas and Tom Brady's in the building, is that Patrick Mahomes' kryptonite? I'm really, really, really wanting to know. That's going to be a humorous part. Is Patrick Mahomes, is his kryptonite Tom Brady? Because that's on par right there. No. Again, congrats to the city of Philadelphia. I know our own SSBN's Mike Gilligan, he's down in Philadelphia. We see some photos and everything like that, and sometimes we see some videos of how everything is going. So hopefully Philadelphia does not burn down because they just won. And we're hoping Mike is okay down there. It's like, hey, I'm gonna make sure you're good. Well, we will be back. I'm thinking I gotta figure out how to do this. I want to change the schedule up a little bit. I'm not gonna go to 3 shows yet. I want to keep it to 2. There is probably at some point, March or April, I was looking to do another show. Just to branch out, cover a little bit of more sports, because by March, end of April, you're basically going to be going NBA playoffs. You're going to be going NHL playoffs. You're going to get a lot of combine stuff. You're going to get a lot of draft stuff, especially with everything going on with the Patriots. But you're also going to get opening day, and you're going to get some really good backlogs from your Boston Red Sox. So kind of wanting to make sure like everything goes as it needs to and everything's looking good. So, I'm trying to just make sure we've got everything covered where we need to be. So, yeah. So let's hope everything for there. Um, but I thank you for joining. This has been Boston Concessions. This is a SSBN podcast. We are the Boston affiliate of SSBN. It's a small state, big network, and the small state, big takes on X. Again, we got just watch the Instagram. You can find us at Boston Concessions. We're on Instagram. We're also on Facebook. Your boy got the Facebook going. That's right. We're on Facebook. Everybody's seen us on Facebook. Go give us a follow. Go give us some love, some likes, everything else. We're on YouTube. You can watch us live before everything goes right to Spotify. And then Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, and also Amazon Podcasts. Find your ways to listen to us. We are absolutely luscious for doing it. I again am your host, Topher. To Philadelphia, baby. Thank you for taking down the one and the only Patrick Mahomes. And the Kansas City Chiefs. And of course, I will state it now, just one time. I did not, under any circumstances during this podcast, mention Taylor Swift and her shorts of the night. Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me. Hopefully I'll see you guys around again. It is always a pleasure to talk to anybody who's here. Would love to get you in chat. Would love to actually take your words. So I'm also going to be working a little bit more towards that as well. Because I want to get your feedback. I want to start reading your comments. If you at us on X or you post something to one of the pictures we drop on Instagram, or heaven forbid, if you see us on Facebook, send us a message and say, hey, I want to know what you think about this. And I will give you a hot take back for what you actually say to us. So feel free to drop us a line in any one of those. You can also, if you're part of the Spotify team, you can also send messages and give comments. I do check them regularly, and I'd love to know what I can actually feed back for you guys. I will mention you on the podcast, so just be wary of that, whether you want your full name, whether you want your alias name, or whether you want me to just call you a hunk-a-dunk-a-poo. That's up to you. But it is early in the morning. I am getting some sleep. I have work. To everybody, thank you. Enjoy and bask in the glow of the Mahomes loss. Good night, everybody.